The morning sun cast long shadows across the rocky hills of Kepler 442b as Staff Sergeant Marcus Cole adjusted his rifle scope. The human outpost below looked peaceful, but Marcus knew better. His trained eyes swept across the settlement where 200 civilians lived and worked, mining precious metals for Earth's growing space fleet. Something was wrong. The air felt too quiet, too still. Even the native birds had stopped singing. "Cole, you seeing anything out there?" Corporal Lisa Bennett's voice crackled through his earpiece. She was positioned in the communications bunker, monitoring alien transmissions from 3 systems away. "Negative, but my gut says we got company coming." Marcus wiped sweat from his forehead. After 12 years in the Marine Corps, he trusted his instincts more than any fancy equipment. The human colony on Kepler 442b sat in a valley surrounded by tall cliffs and dense forests. It was a good place to mine, but a terrible place to defend. Marcus had told command this many times, but they never listened. Now he wondered if today would prove him right. Lisa's voice came through again, more urgent this time. "Marcus, I'm picking up something big on the deep space scanners. Multiple ships heading straight for us." Marcus felt his stomach drop. The nearest Earth fleet was 6 weeks away. If aliens were coming, the colonists were on their own. "How many ships?" he asked, already knowing the answer would be bad news. 12 confirmed. Maybe more hiding behind the gas giant. Lisa paused. "Marcus, these aren't merchant vessels. I'm reading heavy weapons and troop transports. The Galactic Council had been making threats for months. They claimed humans were expanding too fast, taking resources that belonged to older species. Earth's government tried diplomacy, but Marcus had seen this coming. The aliens were done talking. "Sound the alarm," Marcus ordered. "Get everyone to the shelters. I'm moving to Overwatch position." Marcus grabbed his gear and ran toward the old observation tower on the eastern cliff. The tower was half destroyed from a meteor strike years ago, but it gave him a perfect view of the entire valley. More importantly, the ruins would hide him from alien sensors. As he climbed the broken stairs, Marcus could hear the colony's warning sirens echoing off the canyon walls. People were running, parents carrying children, miners dropping their tools to help elderly neighbors. These were good people, peaceful people who just wanted to build a better life among the stars. The aliens would kill them all. Marcus reached his position and set up his rifle. The weapon was a custom M87 long-range system, built specifically for his hands and his eyes. He had carried this rifle through battles on Europa, Titan, and the asteroid belts. It had never failed him. Through his scope, Marcus watched the sky. 12 alien ships appeared as bright dots against the blue atmosphere, growing larger every second. The ships were different shapes and sizes, which meant the Council had sent multiple species. The reptilian Vortani usually commanded these operations, backed up by the insect-like Klaxi and the energy-based Etherians. "Lisa, what's your status?" Marcus asked through his radio. "Bunker sealed and ready. I've sent distress signals to Earth and the outer colonies, but no one can reach us in time." Her voice stayed calm, but Marcus heard the fear underneath. They both knew what was coming. The alien ships split into 3 groups as they entered the atmosphere. The first group headed straight for the mining facility. The second group moved toward the residential area. The third group, Marcus noticed with growing dread, was positioning itself to cut off all escape routes. This was not a random attack. The aliens had studied this place. They knew exactly how to trap everyone. "All civilians, this is Staff Sergeant Cole," Marcus broadcast on the colony's emergency channel. "Stay in the shelters. Do not come outside for any reason. We are under attack by Council forces." The first alien ship landed near the main mining complex. The vessel was long and black, with sharp edges that reminded Marcus of a knife. Vortani design. The ship's doors opened and Marcus watched through his scope as 20 alien soldiers poured out. The Vortani were 8 feet tall with thick gray scales and yellow eyes. They moved on 2 legs but could run on all 4s when needed. Each soldier carried an energy rifle that could burn through steel. Marcus had fought them before and knew they were dangerous but predictable. They relied too much on their strength and not enough on tactics. More ships landed across the valley. The Klaxi came next, their insect soldiers clicking and chattering as they spread out in perfect formations. The Klaxi were smaller than the Vortani but faster, with 4 arms and natural armor. They were smart and worked together like a hive mind. The last group to land were the Etherians. Marcus had never fought them before, but intelligence reports said they were energy beings who could phase in and out of solid matter. They looked like floating clouds of blue light, beautiful and terrifying at the same time. Marcus. Lisa's voice was barely a whisper. They're not just attacking military targets. They're surrounding the civilian shelters. Marcus adjusted his scope and confirmed what Lisa had seen. The aliens were not here to capture the colony or demand surrender. They were here to send a message to all of humanity. They were here to kill everyone. A tall Vortani officer stepped forward from the main ship. Even at this distance, Marcus could see the elaborate markings on his armor. This was General Thex, the Council's most successful military commander. Thex had destroyed human colonies on 6 different worlds. He was known for his cruelty and his hatred of human expansion. General Thex raised one clawed hand, and all the alien soldiers stopped moving. The valley became silent except for the hum of energy weapons charging up. Humans of Kepler 442b. Thex's voice boomed across the valley through electronic amplifiers. The Galactic Council has judged your species guilty of aggressive expansion and resource theft. The sentence is death. Marcus felt cold anger fill his chest. These people had done nothing wrong. They were farmers and miners, teachers and doctors. They had families and dreams and hopes for the future. Now aliens who had never met them, never spoken to them, had decided they all deserved to die. Lisa. Marcus said quietly into his radio. Whatever happens next, remember that we are Marines. We protect the innocent. Semper Fi, Marcus. The alien weapons fired all at once, turning the peaceful morning into hell. Pain brought Marcus back to the world of the living. His head felt like someone had hit it with a hammer, and his mouth tasted of blood and dust. Every breath sent sharp needles through his chest. When he tried to move his left leg, white-hot agony shot up to his spine. Marcus forced his eyes open. Above him, twisted metal beams and broken concrete created a small cave in what used to be the observation tower. Sunlight filtered through the gaps, but it looked different. Weaker. How long had he been unconscious? He tried to remember what happened. The alien attack. The energy weapons firing all at once. The tower shaking and then falling apart around him. He must have been buried in the collapse, protected by the heavy steel frame that now formed his shelter. Marcus slowly moved his right hand to his chest, checking for wounds. His fingers found torn fabric and dried blood, but nothing that felt immediately deadly. His ribs were cracked for sure, maybe broken. His left leg was definitely broken below the knee. But he was alive, that was more than he expected. Through the gaps in the rubble, Marcus could hear voices. Alien voices. The clicking speech of the Klaxi mixed with the deep growls of the Vortani. They were close, maybe 50 meters away. Marcus held perfectly still and listened. The aliens were talking about sweep patterns and guard rotations. They had set up a base in the valley and were making sure no humans had survived their attack. But they were not being very careful about it. They thought everyone was dead. That was their first mistake. Marcus reached slowly for his rifle. The M87 was still strapped to his back, somehow undamaged in the collapse. He also found his backpack with his medical kit, water, and emergency rations. The radio was smashed, but his scope and ammunition were intact. First things first, he needed to treat his wounds before he passed out from blood loss. Marcus opened his medical kit and found the emergency painkillers. He injected himself with enough morphine to take the edge off without making him sleepy. Then he used his knife to cut away the torn parts of his uniform and examined his injuries. The leg was bad. The bone was broken, but it had not punctured the skin. He could splint it with pieces of metal from the tower frame. The chest wounds were mostly from shrapnel, shallow but bleeding. He cleaned them with antiseptic and sealed them with medical patches. The worst part was staying quiet while he worked. Every movement hurt, and he wanted to scream, but the aliens were still talking nearby. He bit down on a piece of cloth and forced himself to breathe slowly. After an hour of careful work, Marcus felt human again. The morphine helped, but more importantly, he had a plan. He was trained for survival situations, and this was just another mission. A very bad mission, but still something he could handle. He needed to find out what happened to Lisa and the colonists. Marcus waited until the alien voices moved away, then carefully shifted position to look out through the rubble. The view made his heart sink. The colony was gone. Not damaged, not burned, but completely destroyed. Where buildings used to stand, there were only black craters in the ground. The aliens had used heavy weapons to erase every trace of human presence. But that was not the worst part. In the center of the valley, The aliens had built a temporary base. Marcus could see dozens of prefabricated structures, landing pads, and guard towers. This was not a quick raid. The Council forces were planning to stay for a while. And in a fenced area near the main alien building, Marcus saw movement. Human movement. He adjusted his rifle scope for a better look and felt a mix of relief and horror. About 30 people were still alive, trapped in what looked like a prison compound. Marcus could see men, women, and children sitting in the dirt. Surrounded by energy barriers and Klaxi guards, the aliens were keeping prisoners. Marcus scanned the compound more carefully and spotted a familiar figure near the fence. Lisa Bennett was alive. She was hurt, favoring her right arm, but she was on her feet and talking to other survivors. Even from this distance, Marcus could see her organizing the other prisoners, probably trying to keep their spirits up. That was Lisa. Never give up. Never give in. Marcus studied the alien base for 2 hours, memorizing guard patterns and weak points. The Vortani were in charge, with General Thex commanding from the largest building. The Klaxi handled security and patrols. The Etherians floated around the perimeter, their energy forms shifting and glowing as they monitored for threats. The aliens had made their second mistake. They assumed all the human soldiers were dead, so their security was focused outward, watching for ships or reinforcements from space. They were not expecting an attack from inside their own perimeter. As the sun began to set, Marcus watched something that made his blood boil. General Thex emerged from his command building and walked to the prisoner compound. The tall Vortani stood outside the fence and spoke in accented English. "Humans," Thex said in his deep, rumbling voice. "Tomorrow we will begin the final phase of this operation. Your deaths will send a message to your species. Expansion into council space will not be tolerated." One of the prisoners, an older man Marcus recognized as the colony administrator, stood up. "Why?" the man asked. "We never hurt anyone. We were just trying to build a better life." General Thex showed his teeth in what might have been a smile. "Your better life comes at the cost of species who ruled the galaxy before your kind learned to make fire. The Council has decided that humanity's time is over." Marcus felt his hands shake with rage, but he forced himself to stay calm. Getting angry would not save those people. Only careful planning and precise action would give them a chance. Thex continued speaking. "We will execute 5 prisoners each day until our message is complete. Then we will broadcast your final moments to every human world, so your leaders understand the price of defiance." The Vortani general turned and walked away, leaving the prisoners in stunned silence. Marcus watched Lisa move to the fence. Even without hearing her words, he could see her rallying the other survivors. She was not giving up, which meant he could not give up either. As full darkness settled over the valley, Marcus began to form a plan. He was one wounded Marine against an entire alien battle group. The odds were impossible. His commanders would call it suicide, but Marcus had something the aliens did not understand. He had training, determination, and most importantly, he had nothing left to lose. The aliens had made their third mistake by leaving him alive. Now he would show them why that was the worst mistake of all. Marcus spent the entire night planning his first move. He could not save all the prisoners at once, but he could make the aliens pay for their crimes, one shot at a time. The broken leg made movement difficult, but Marcus had trained in mountain warfare back on Earth. He knew how to move quietly even when injured. More importantly, he knew how to pick targets that would hurt the enemy the most. As dawn broke over the valley, Marcus watched the alien base come to life. The Vortani officers emerged from their buildings and began giving orders. The Klaxi guards changed shifts with military precision. The Etherians floated in slow patterns around the perimeter, but there was one alien who caught Marcus's attention. A Vortani sergeant was standing on a small hill overlooking the prisoner compound. The alien wore different armor from the regular soldiers, with red markings that showed his rank. More importantly, he was alone and positioned exactly 800 meters from Marcus's hiding spot. An easy shot for a Marine sniper. Marcus checked his rifle and loaded a special round he had been saving. The bullet was designed to penetrate alien armor and deliver maximum damage to reptilian physiology. He had only 12 of these rounds left, so every shot had to count. Through his scope, Marcus studied the Vortani sergeant. The alien was scanning the prisoner compound with electronic binoculars, probably counting heads to make sure no one had escaped during the night. He stood perfectly still, making himself an ideal target. Marcus controlled his breathing and squeezed the trigger. The rifle's sound echoed off the canyon walls like thunder. 800 meters away, the Vortani sergeant dropped to the ground and did not move again. The special bullet had done its job perfectly. Immediately, alarms began blaring throughout the alien base. Soldiers ran in all directions, looking for the source of the shot, but Marcus was already moving, using a planned route through the rubble to reach his next position. The aliens made their first tactical error. Instead of securing the area methodically, they panicked and spread out too thin. Marcus had counted on this. Most species in the galaxy had never faced human guerrilla warfare tactics. From his new position, Marcus watched the alien response. General Thex emerged from his command building, roaring orders in the Vortani language. Klaxi soldiers scurried around like angry insects. The Etherians began glowing brighter, their energy forms pulsing with agitation, but they were all looking in the wrong direction. Marcus waited 2 hours before taking his second shot. Patience was a sniper's greatest weapon, and rushing would get him killed. He used the time to study the alien patrol patterns and identify his next target. A Klaxi squad leader was directing search teams near the destroyed mining facility. The insect-like alien had 4 arms and natural armor, but Marcus knew their weak spots. All Klaxi had a vulnerable joint where their head connected to their thorax. The second shot was more difficult because of the distance and wind conditions. But Marcus had made harder shots on Europa during the Ice Moon campaigns. He adjusted for the alien planet's gravity and atmospheric density, then fired. The Klaxi squad leader collapsed in a spray of green fluid. Its soldiers immediately began clicking and chattering in panic, their disciplined formation falling apart. This time, Marcus did not move. He wanted to see how the aliens would react to a second casualty from the same general area. The answer told him everything he needed to know about their tactical capabilities. The Vortani officers began arguing with each other instead of coordinating a proper response. The Klaxi wanted to search every possible hiding spot, but the Etherians insisted the shots came from a different location entirely. No one was in charge of the actual manhunt. Marcus smiled grimly. These aliens were used to fighting enemies who stood and fought in organized formations. They had no experience dealing with a lone human who could strike from the shadows and disappear. Over the next 6 hours, Marcus took 3 more shots. Each time he killed a different type of alien from a different position: a Vortani communications officer, an Etherian patrol leader whose energy form flickered and died when hit by a specially modified electromagnetic round, a Klaxi engineer who was trying to set up better sensors. By evening, the alien base was in chaos. Soldiers huddled in groups afraid to patrol alone. Officers stayed inside their buildings. Even General Thex had stopped making public appearances. But Marcus's real victory came when he saw Lisa Bennett at the prisoner compound fence. She had been watching the aliens' growing panic all day, and Marcus could see her organizing the other prisoners. She knew someone was out there fighting back, even if she did not know who. Marcus decided to take a bigger risk. He needed to let Lisa know he was alive and fighting. More importantly, he needed her help to coordinate future attacks. Using his knife, Marcus carved a small piece of metal into the shape of an arrow. Then he wrapped it with a piece of cloth torn from his uniform and attached a tiny American flag he carried in his emergency kit. The message was simple but clear. An American Marine was still in the fight. The challenge was getting the message to Lisa without alerting the alien guards. Marcus studied the compound for hours looking for an opportunity. It came during the evening meal. The Klaxi guards were distracted by their own food, and the Etherians had withdrawn to recharge their energy forms. For exactly 3 minutes, there would be a gap in the surveillance coverage near the south fence. Marcus crawled 200 meters through the rubble, his broken leg sending waves of agony through his body, but he reached the fence line and found a loose stone he could throw accurately. The stone with its attached message landed near Lisa's feet while she was talking to other prisoners. She looked down, saw the American flag, and immediately understood. Her eyes searched the shadows beyond the fence, but she was smart enough not to point or wave. Instead, Lisa walked to the north side of the compound and arranged 3 stones in a triangle. It was an old military signal that meant, "Message received and understood." Marcus felt a surge of hope for the first time since the attack. He was not fighting alone anymore. Lisa was trapped behind the fence, but she was still a Marine, and Marines never gave up. As he crawled back to his hiding spot, Marcus began planning his next phase of operations. He had killed 5 aliens and thrown their entire base into confusion. But tomorrow, General Thex would probably organize a more systematic hunt. That was fine with Marcus. The aliens wanted to hunt him? Let them try. They were about to learn why Earth's military motto was Semper Fi, and what it meant when a human Marine decided that surrender was not an option. The morning brought new challenges for Marcus, but also new opportunities. General Thex had finally organized a proper search operation, sending out mixed teams of all 3 alien species to hunt for the human sniper. But their cooperation was not as strong as they thought. Marcus watched from a new hiding spot as the alien search teams spread across the valley. The Vortani wanted to use heavy weapons and blast every possible hiding place. The Klaxi preferred systematic searches with their superior senses. The Etherians insisted they could phase through solid matter to find any hidden enemies. The problem was that none of them trusted the others. Marcus had studied alien psychology during his intelligence training. Each species believed their own methods were superior, and working together went against their natural instincts. He could use that weakness against them. His first target was a mixed patrol of 4 Vortani and 6 Klaxi soldiers. They were searching the ruins of the old mining equipment, staying close together for mutual protection. But they kept arguing about which direction to search next. Marcus positioned himself on a ridge overlooking their search area. Instead of shooting immediately, he waited until the aliens were in the perfect position. Then he fired once, killing the Vortani team leader. The remaining Vortani immediately assumed the Klaxi had betrayed them. The Klaxi clicked angrily, insisting they were not responsible. While they argued, Marcus shifted position and fired again, this time killing a Klaxi soldier. Now both species were convinced the other was trying to eliminate them. The patrol broke apart, with the Vortani heading back toward base and the Klaxi spreading out to search for the real sniper. Neither group was watching for an actual human threat anymore. Marcus smiled as he watched the confusion unfold. This was psychological warfare at its finest. The aliens were defeating themselves. Over the next 3 days, Marcus perfected his new strategy. Every time he killed an alien, he made sure to leave evidence that would confuse the investigation. Sometimes he left Klaxi weapons near dead Vortani soldiers. Other times he used Etherian energy signatures to mask his shots. The alien base began to tear itself apart from within. Vortani officers accused Klaxi guards of sabotage. Klaxi squads reported suspicious behavior by Etherian patrols. The Etherians started avoiding both other species, convinced that solid matter beings could not be trusted. But Marcus's greatest psychological weapon was something much simpler. After each successful shot, he left a small American flag at the kill site. The first few times, the aliens probably thought it was random debris from the destroyed colony. But as the pattern continued, they began to understand the message. The flags meant that somewhere in their secured area, a human soldier was still fighting, still killing their people, still refusing to surrender despite impossible odds. General Thex tried to suppress news of the flags, but rumors spread through the alien ranks anyway. Marcus could see the fear growing in their movements. Patrols stayed closer to base. Guards looked over their shoulders constantly. Even the mighty Vortani officers seemed nervous. The psychological pressure reached a breaking point on the 4th day. Marcus was watching the prisoner compound when he saw an argument break out between a Vortani guard and 2 Klaxi soldiers. The disagreement started over something small but quickly escalated into violence. The Vortani pulled out his energy weapon and fired at one of the Klaxi. The insect soldier's natural armor saved his life, but the shot triggered a larger fight. More aliens from both species joined the battle, energy beams and plasma bolts flying in all directions. Marcus used the chaos to take his most daring shot yet. General Thex had emerged from his command building to stop the fighting. The Vortani general was standing in the open, roaring orders at his troops. 850 meters. Slight crosswind. Target partially obscured by smoke from the fighting. Marcus adjusted for all the variables and fired. The shot was perfect, but at the last second a Klaxi soldier stumbled into the bullet's path. The alien died instantly, but General Thex dove for cover, unharmed but clearly shaken. The accidental near miss actually worked better than a direct hit would have. Now General Thex knew that the human sniper could reach him anywhere in the base. The great Fortani general was not safe even in his own command center. That night, Marcus received an unexpected gift. One of the alien patrols had been so focused on watching for snipers that they walked into a field of unstable ground near the old mining pits. The entire squad fell through a hidden cave system and were trapped underground. Marcus could hear them calling for help, but none of the other alien units would risk a rescue operation. They were too afraid of walking into a sniper trap. The trapped aliens died slowly over 2 days, their calls for help growing weaker until they finally stopped. Marcus never fired a shot, but the psychological effect was devastating. The other aliens realized that their mysterious human enemy could kill them in ways they had never imagined. By the end of the week, the alien base was barely functional. Units refused to patrol alone. Officers stayed inside armored buildings. The Etherians had withdrawn to their ships and would not participate in ground operations. But Marcus's greatest success came when he saw Lisa's signal from the prisoner compound. She had arranged rocks in a pattern that meant enemy morale broken, ready for next phase. Lisa had been watching the aliens' deteriorating discipline and knew they were close to a complete breakdown. The prisoners could see their guards jumping at shadows and arguing among themselves. Some of the weaker alien soldiers were showing signs of what humans would call battle fatigue. Marcus felt a grim satisfaction as he planned his next moves. The aliens had come to Kepler 442b expecting to massacre helpless humans and send a message of fear across the galaxy. Instead, they were learning what happened when they faced a trained human warrior who refused to die quietly. The Galactic Council's perfect plan was falling apart, one shot at a time. And Marcus Cole was just getting started. Marcus knew the time had come for his most dangerous mission yet. The alien base was in chaos, but Lisa and the other prisoners were still trapped behind energy barriers. Every day, General Thex delayed his execution schedule because of the sniper threat. But Marcus could not count on that lasting forever. He needed to free Lisa so they could work together to finish this fight. Marcus had been studying the prisoner compound for days, learning every detail of the security system. The energy barriers were powered by a central generator located 50 meters from the main fence. The Klaxi guards followed the same patrol pattern every 4 hours. And most importantly, there was a drainage tunnel that ran under the compound from the old mining operation. The tunnel entrance was hidden in the ruins of a processing plant 200 meters from the prison. Marcus had spotted it during his reconnaissance. Though he had no idea if it was still intact after the alien bombardment, he would find out tonight. Marcus waited until the darkest part of the night. When both moons of Kepler 442b were below the horizon, moving carefully on his makeshift crutch, he made his way to the tunnel entrance. The opening was partially collapsed, but there was enough space for a determined man to crawl through. The tunnel was worse than Marcus had feared. Water dripped constantly from the ceiling, and the air smelled of rust and decay. Worse, the passage was barely wide enough for his shoulders, and his broken leg made every movement agony. But Marines do not quit because something hurts. It took Marcus 2 hours to crawl the length of the tunnel. When he finally reached the other end, he found himself looking up through a metal grate directly into the prisoner compound. Above him, 30 feet away, he could see Lisa sitting against the fence with several other survivors. Marcus used his knife to carefully loosen the grate bolts. The metal was old and corroded, but he had to work silently to avoid alerting the guards. After 20 minutes of patient effort, the grate came free. Marcus whispered Lisa's name as quietly as possible. She turned immediately, her eyes widening when she saw his face in the tunnel opening. Without hesitation, Lisa moved to cover the grate with her body while they talked. "Marcus," she whispered back, "I knew you were alive. The flags, the chaos in their ranks. You have been busy. Are you hurt?" Marcus asked. "Broken arm, but it is healing. The others are scared but alive. Thex keeps delaying the executions because his officers are afraid to leave the base." Marcus smiled grimly. "That was the plan. Lisa, I need you out of there. Can you fit through this tunnel?" Lisa looked at the narrow opening and nodded. "What about the others?" "We get them out together, but I need your help first. There are things I cannot do alone with this leg." Lisa understood immediately. "Give me 10 minutes to prepare the others. Make it look like I am sick and need to lie down near the drainage area." Marcus watched as Lisa moved among the other prisoners, whispering instructions. Within minutes, several people were gathered around her. blocking the guard's view while she slipped into the tunnel. The journey back was harder with two people, especially since Lisa's broken arm made crawling difficult. But they made it to the tunnel entrance just as the sun began to rise. Marcus led Lisa to his main hiding spot in the ruins of the observation tower. When she saw his setup, her eyes widened with professional appreciation. "Marcus, this is incredible work. You have been running a one-man war against an entire alien battle group." "Not anymore," Marcus replied. "Now it is two Marines against aliens who are starting to crack under pressure." Lisa examined the alien base through Marcus's scope, noting the reduced patrols and defensive positions. "They are scared. I could see it in the guards. Some of them barely sleep anymore. Good. Fear makes enemies stupid, and we are about to give them something new to worry about." Marcus showed Lisa his collection of alien equipment he had salvaged from his kills. Communication devices, energy weapons, even some explosives taken from a Klaxi demolition unit. "You always were good at improvising," Lisa said with a rare smile. "What is the plan?" Marcus pointed to a fuel depot on the far side of the alien base. "Tonight, while their attention is focused on finding my sniper position, you are going to plant charges in their fuel storage. When those tanks explode, it will destroy half their vehicles and create enough chaos for a major assault. And while I am doing that, I am going to kill General Thex." Lisa stared at him. "Marcus, he never leaves his command bunker anymore. The building is heavily armored and surrounded by guards. That is why I need the fuel depot explosion. When those tanks blow, Thex will have to come outside to coordinate the response. Fortani psychology demands that leaders show strength in crisis situations. He will make himself visible to rally his troops." Lisa nodded slowly. "And when he does, you will be waiting." "Exactly. But there is more. I intercepted some of their communications yesterday. Council reinforcements are coming in 3 days. If we do not finish this now, those prisoners will die and the aliens will claim victory." Lisa checked her gear and tested her broken arm's range of motion. "Then we better not fail. Those people have been through enough." As the day progressed, Marcus and Lisa refined their plan and coordinated their timing. Lisa would use her demolitions training to maximize the damage to the alien fuel supplies. Marcus would position himself for the perfect shot at General Thex when he emerged. But they both knew the real goal was bigger than revenge. They were going to send a message back to the Galactic Council, a message that would echo across every star system where humans lived. Earth's children do not die quietly. And when you hurt innocent people, humanity will find you no matter how far you run or how many soldiers you bring. The Council had made their greatest error when they decided to test human resolve. Tonight, Marcus and Lisa would show them the true cost of that mistake. The final night arrived with storm clouds gathering over the valley. Marcus took this as a good sign. The weather would provide cover for their assault and make the aliens even more nervous than they already were. Lisa had spent the day preparing explosive charges from salvaged alien equipment. Her broken arm made the work difficult, but her demolitions expertise turned enemy weapons into tools of liberation. Meanwhile, Marcus positioned himself on a ridge with a perfect view of both the fuel depot and General Thex's command bunker. "Radio check," Lisa whispered through the captured alien communicator they were using. "Clear signal," Marcus replied. "Weather moving in fast. We start in 30 minutes. Lisa was already moving toward the fuel depot, using drainage ditches and equipment ruins for cover. The alien guards were distracted by the approaching storm, more concerned with staying dry than watching for human infiltrators. Marcus watched through his scope as Lisa reached the perimeter of the fuel storage area. The depot contained enough energy cells and plasma fuel to power the alien base for months. When it exploded, the blast would be visible from orbit. "In position," Lisa reported. "Give me 15 minutes to place all charges." Marcus turned his scope toward the command bunker where General Thex was hiding. The Vortani general had not shown himself in public since the near-miss shot days earlier, but Marcus was counting on alien pride to bring him out when his base came under attack. Lightning flashed across the sky as the storm moved closer. "Perfect timing. Charges placed," Lisa whispered. "Ready to light this candle." "On my mark," Marcus replied. 3, 2, 1, execute. The fuel depot disappeared in a ball of orange fire that turned night into day. The explosion was even bigger than Marcus had expected, sending a mushroom cloud high into the stormy sky. Secondary explosions followed as stored ammunition and vehicle fuel added to the inferno. Immediately, alarms began screaming throughout the alien base. Soldiers ran in all directions, some toward the fire and others away from it. The carefully organized defensive positions collapsed into chaos as officers tried to coordinate a response to the unexpected attack. And just as Marcus had predicted, General Thex emerged from his bunker. The Vortani general appeared on the command platform outside his building, surrounded by guards but clearly visible in the firelight. Thex was roaring orders in multiple languages, trying to restore discipline to his panicking forces. Marcus steadied his rifle and centered the crosshairs on the alien general's chest. This shot would be the most important of his military career. 1,000 meters. Strong crosswind from the storm. Moving target partially obscured by smoke. But Marcus had made harder shots before. He controlled his breathing, adjusted for wind and distance, and gently squeezed the trigger. The bullet struck General Thex in the center of his scaled chest, punching through his armor like paper. The mighty Vortani general, conqueror of 6 human worlds, dropped to the platform and did not get up again. The effect on the alien forces was immediate and devastating. Without their commanding general, the various species began to panic and retreat toward their ships. The Klaxi abandoned their posts. The Etherians flickered and faded. Even the proud Vortani soldiers began falling back from their positions. Target eliminated, Marcus reported to Lisa. How are the prisoners? The explosion damaged their barrier generator, Lisa replied with excitement in her voice. The humans are free and heading for the emergency bunkers you marked. Marcus smiled as he watched the alien retreat accelerate. But he was not finished yet. There was still one more message to send. Using his remaining explosive rounds, Marcus began targeting the alien ships on their landing pads. Each shot was carefully placed to disable engines and navigation systems without causing catastrophic explosions that might hurt the escaping prisoners. Within an hour, half the alien fleet was grounded and burning. The surviving aliens managed to evacuate in their remaining ships, but they left behind most of their equipment and all of their dead. More importantly, they left behind their confidence and their belief in Galactic Council superiority. As dawn broke over the valley, Marcus and Lisa met at the emergency bunkers where the freed prisoners had taken shelter. 37 people had survived the alien occupation, including several children and elderly colonists. Sergeant Cole, said David Miller, the colony administrator who had confronted General Thex days earlier. We thought you were dead. How did you manage all this? Marcus looked around at the faces of the people he had fought to protect. These were farmers and miners, teachers and families who had never asked for war but had endured it with courage. Marines do not abandon civilians, Marcus said simply, and Americans do not surrender to bullies, no matter how big they are or where they come from. Lisa was already working on the alien communication equipment, trying to contact other human colonies and Earth fleet units. Marcus, she called out, I am picking up transmissions from the retreating council ships. They are reporting a major defeat and requesting immediate reinforcements. Let them call for help, Marcus replied. By the time they get organized again, Earth will know what happened here, and every human colony in the galaxy will be ready for them. Over the next few days, as they waited for rescue ships to arrive, Marcus and Lisa helped the survivors rebuild basic shelter and communication systems. The alien base was stripped for useful equipment, and the captured technology would give human engineers new insights into Council military capabilities. But the most important victory was not military or technological. When the rescue ships finally arrived, they brought news that the story of Kepler 442b was already spreading across human space. 2 Marines had held off an entire alien battle group, killed a famous council general, and proven that humanity would not be intimidated by threats or genocide. The Galactic Council had intended to send a message of fear and submission. Instead, they had created a legend of human defiance that would inspire resistance movements on every world where humans lived. Captain Robert Hayes of the rescue ship USS Defiance shook Marcus's hand as the last survivors were loaded aboard. Sergeant, Earth Command wants to know how you managed to defeat an entire council battle group with just 2 soldiers. Marcus looked back at the valley where so many innocent people had died, then at Lisa, who was helping elderly colonists into the transport shuttles. Tell Earth Command that the council made a mistake, Marcus said. They thought killing humans would make the rest of us afraid. Instead, they just made us angry. And there is nothing more dangerous in this galaxy than angry humans with nothing left to lose. As the rescue ships lifted off from Kepler 442b, Marcus could see alien wreckage still burning in the valley below. The message had been sent, not just to the Galactic Council, but to every species that thought humanity could be easily conquered. Earth remembers its own, and Earth never forgets those who harm the innocent. The Council had erred, and the galaxy would never be the same.